Today we're looking at a 2016 Ford Fusion Hybrid with a catastrophic oil leak somewhere. And if we go underneath the vehicle, you can see that the under shield is glistening. It's completely soaked with motor oil. And the vehicle left a trail coming into the shop and a couple of puddles in the brief time that it's been sitting. So we know we have a pretty bad leak going on. And if we look at the dipstick, check the level, there's not even oil touching the dipstick, so we know we've lost a significant amount of oil because of this leak. Now to find the leak, of course, we're going to have to remove the under shield. So we'll use the 10mm socket to do that. And I'm not going to make you sit through that. I'll just go ahead and fast forward to the under shield removed. And with the under shield out of the way, we can start looking around to see if there's any obvious source of oil leak. We can see it hanging off the bottom of the pan and hanging off some of the oil pan bolts on the filter side. The side of the engine opposite the filter looks like it's pretty dry. I don't see any other obvious signs of leak. The rest of the perimeter of the engine is completely dry, so we know that the leak is occurring somewhere in the vicinity of the oil filter. What I can do is turn the ignition on, but unfortunately the vehicle doesn't produce oil pressure unless the internal combustion engine is running. And I know that if you push the accelerator pedal with the ignition on, you can get the gas engine to run, which I did briefly, hoping to reveal the leak. But you can see, although that did generate a little bit more oil on the side of the engine, it's still not obvious what the source of the leak is. So with an assistant holding the accelerator down and keeping the engine running, I was able to quickly see the source of the leak, and you can see the two high pressure streams coming out of the side of the filter. Because the oil pump is running, we've got two streams coming out of a couple of pinholes apparently on the side of the filter. Very unusual, and of course the Ford dealer that sold the filter was happy to replace it. And with the filter removed, we can see we've got a little bit of a cleanup job that we're going to have to do, not just on the engine, but the under shield is also fully loaded with motor oil. And in fact, it was so soaked. Ford makes these under shields out of a very lightweight, rigid foam. They really don't weigh much. And I was curious how much this one weighed because it was so loaded with oil, and sure enough, it weighed in at 6 pounds, which means it's probably holding 3 or 4 pounds of oil soaked into it. So we definitely can't put it back on the vehicle like this. Now, I was also curious how much oil was left in the engine. So, of course, doing an oil change, I drained everything out and poured it into a container to measure it. There was only 1.5 quarts left in the engine, but because we caught this quickly, the engine was actually very healthy, didn't sustain any damage as a result. And now we can take the new filter with a new drain plug, gave it a thorough inspection, no signs of pinholes or any other flaws. And with a thin coat of oil on the seal, we can spin it on, and according to the box instructions, by hand, I'll turn it 3/4 of a turn past contact, and we're done. If you like this video, please do give a thumbs up, subscribe for future videos, and be sure to share this with someone else. Thanks for watching.